Okay, great. So I am very happy to introduce Argel Bejarano. I hope I said that close enough, pronounced it properly, close enough. Argel has been a developer for 10 years. He's been deep into Flutter for 2 of those years, and he's the founder of the Spanish Flutter Community. So I'm going to kick it over to you, Argel, to teach us all about asynchronicity in Flutter.
Okay, hi, hello to everyone. I'm gonna start presenting so you can see my screen. Just I'm gonna start. So it should be now in your screens. I'm gonna first of all thank you for the invitation. Today we're gonna be talking about working asynchronous with Flutter. As I wanna help you introduce me. My name is Argel Bejarano. I'm from Mexico. I'm the founder of Flutter and Dart Spanish Community. We have a lot of people in there. They are speakers, so if you want to go there, you can go, but there's only speak Spanish there. We're about 50,000 in Facebook. We are around 3,000 in Twitter, and we are around 3,000 so in Telegrams. We use it for exchange more speed and communicate, right? So besides that, I am GDG organizer in my community, also in my city. So let's start with the topic in here. This is like the scope that we're working. This is the theory. Is more theory than code. It's important to take a look at this. We're talking about isolates, event loop, the future. What's the difference between them? When to use it, and how they work, which constructor they have, and how to handle it, because it's important. There are different ways. They actually work the same, but they look pretty different to me. But every single one of us can choose which one can be used. And let's use a little bit of fake data and with features and know how to be implementing this. Let's move. So the first thing that we have to know. So what's a feature? So this is from the documentation, and it says a feature is used to represent a potential value or error that will be available at some time in the future. I read this not because I don't know it. It's just because I don't know you, but I feel like it's not saying much. It's saying something, but it's recursive, right? They say something that at the end is something. So it's a feature that is a feature. So I feel pretty comfortable. So let's, with that definition, so let's get a little bit forward, and let's try to use this representation. Let's think that the future is a box. So we have this box, and we ask for this box. So this is like a gift. And the deliver, this has a future response. It can have 2 states inside. The first one, when we open, it can have this little dash saying, okay, we are okay, we can keep moving, but it also can have an error. So that is a future. You ask for something, and when it actually gets right, it's gonna say everything is okay, or you have an error. So we can move to this. So let's kind of like Stack Overflow this and just get to the code that we get used to sometimes. So Dart asynchronous work. It is important when we're talking about Dart asynchronous, know what is actually going through, what is happening in the asynchronous work. So this is possible because of the isolates on Dart. This isolate, this is a single thread. It has their own memory, and they're running an event loop. So at the beginning, we said we're going to talk about isolate, we're going to talk about event loop and future. So the event loop executed over the isolate. So this is a question that I add in this image, in this slide, because I have been asking this. So we can just have one isolate, and no, we can use more. We can create different isolates for different work, but it's not actually a good idea, because you're going to be taking more memory and more memory and start splitting memory. So if you have like some big process you want to execute, you can create an event loop aside, and give some work and ask for data. So they communicate by sending data in between them. But it's not a good idea creating one and another one and another one. Is not a good idea. So then you have to be sure that you have one and you use another one and finish it so you can liberate and clean your memory in there. So when a Dart application starts, it has two steps. The first one is going to be initialize two queues. These queues are going to be microtasks and are going to be events. We're going to move about one of these kinds in the future, but right now just think that we have to initialize two queues, and then it execute in a main and create the event loop where these queues are going to be executed is actually our code. It's our main function with an event loop, always hearing something. But we have also this, we need to think about this. So what's happening if nothing is happening? So, I mean, how can you say, okay, it's an event loop, but there is no always happening something? Maybe the user is just looking at the screen and not tapping anything or not looking in there. So there's the memory and it's interest and luck. So you can be doing like different stuff. You can be like waiting, looking at it, something, laying it around, doing nothing, or you can use in Dart they use the time to start sending the garbage collector. This is one example. Some of the things could be happening, but this is one of the main things for me that happens in there. When there's nothing happening, the core Dart decides to send the garbage collector and clean out the garbage to move it. And if someone tap it on it, scroll it, or create some event, so the garbage collector is dismissed and start working with the events in the event loop. This is something that is happened by default. It's not something that you have to call. It's just by default. It's a behavior that works like that. So the process in talking about definitions and words that the actual team use is the future could have been uncompleted, or it could be complete with value or complete with error. That is the states that are defined by them. So this is kind of easy. So you have when you ask for something, you have an incompleted future, and when it gets back, you have a value or you have an error. So that's the actual example and how they're talking about this. But just for fun, let's move a little bit further. And so this is gonna be and should be familiar for you. If you have some network communication apps using HTTP, or you have called something and share preferences, these are features. So you actually ask for something and you have to wait till they send you a value or an error. But this code, this is something that you have to define. You need to have a backend. You need to have something in your share preferences set. But what happened with we don't have anything and need to keep working. This happened in a lot of people that they have startups or they have this big of a theme, and sometimes the front end goes as far as the back end. So at some time you know how this is going to be the structure for the code, but you don't actually have the code. So let's see the constructor so know how they can help us. So back to the future. We have this constructor, this default. So for all of you that says, okay, but it could be smaller. Yes, this could be smaller. We can use a fat arrow in there. And that's it. It's the same code, just using a fat arrow. But you can also use the feature value and send a specific value. This value is not set. It shouldn't be like in a specific value, on specific type. Is a dynamic value in there. So you can send for two. You can send a hello. You can send a full object. You can send anything you want to send in it. So, and this is, I think it should be the more known of all of this, the delay. We always, in some moment, we have been like waiting for testing or some create a delay for something to happen. So this delay create this expected behavior. So the code is stop for a little time and then do something, or maybe just stop, because here the only you have to use is a duration. You actually can omit the part of the number. But if you see this code and you think, what's my future 42 should be printed, I'm sorry to say that it's actually wrong. This is not going to happen like that. What I told you, Flutter already knows, Dart already knows, but this is an int because we add and send a value, but we are just created an instance for a future with a certain type. So if we want to use, it's pretty easy to just move to that and say, okay, we have this, and this is the way we will print it, because the code is running from the beginning to the end. This is going to be printing first what's my future, and even if we are setting milliseconds to 100, the 42 is going to be printed at the end. It's going to be what's my future, and the next line is going to be 42. So this is just a little example. There will be a bigger example in a couple of slides. So with this more, we have this future microtask. This constructor is pretty important to know. I don't know if you already know it. If you already know it, that's pretty good. And the most important part, or the most important section about this, is you need to know how this happens. And this is where the microtask query is important to know. So let's give a step back to the past and use a diagram. This is a pretty cool. I know some of you use it, maybe for all of you or for some of others. This is not something that they use, but it's important to know how to read this. So let's think that we want to start a Dart code. So in the beginning, it's going to be starting the two keywords. It's going to be microtask, it can be an event keyword, and then we're going to go to the main and create the event loop. This is our event loop. Here, the big one is going to be our event loop, and then inside we have this keyword, and we have little loop inside, and we have the end. So what is actually saying this diagram? This is saying that when you went in and your code, you have to first ask if you have something in the microtask keyword and execute it, and if nothing in there, you have to check it out the event keyword and execute it. If not, you need to run from the beginning to the end. That is why what's my number is going to be executed at the beginning. Maybe it's not so clear, so let's see code, because we understand code. So then we have main, we have the print, we have a microtask feature in there, we have a usual feature with .then, another .then inside, we have another microtask, we have a feature. So we may think it's going to be begin main, and then it's going to be end main, and then it's going to be print first empty, then first future, then in that order. But it's actually not going to work like that. If we see what this is going to print, it's actually this what is going to be looking in your screen. It's going to be the begin, and then it's going to be the end main. It's going to print the whole three microtasks, first, second, and third. The one in here, the one in here, and the one in here. And then it's going to be starting to look at the futures, to the event of futures. It's going to be added to the events keyword, not to the microtask. It's going to be to the events keyword. So we're going to see this first future, first then future, second then. But if you look in here, we have a microtask. So even we are running a future because a microtask is added to its keyword, this one is going to be executed again at the beginning, and then it's going to keep working to the other one. So if we look at this again, we can say this: a microtask is going to be, we're going to be using this when we have to run something on the execute something in the future, but before the event that we need. So this is going to be in this little space, in this little segment of the code is going to go in, look for microtasks, any microtasks that exist in the queue. If some of them existed on some microtasks exist, this is going to be executed first, and then it's going to move to the event queue. This is the way. So this is important to know which is the process. Is you need to execute something that's going to be in the future, but before your actual future, that delay or something like that, you can use a microtask so you can get control in which one is going to be executed first. Hope this is going to be understandable. So let's look at how to handle this. We have two ways. We have .then and we have async await. So they both make the work, get the work done. So let's say it like this. We have a future.value. This is, remember, this is an instance, so we have to use a .then. So we define a future.then, and we had this value back. And we said, what's my future? It says 42. Then we decide to add one and send it to the next then. And then we ask, okay, something happening here. We have an error in here. And we say, no, we don't have any error. So let's move forward. And then we throw a custom error because we want some error in there. So the next code message after error val3, it's not going to be executed because we are throwing an error. But the most important part of here is going to be the when complete. If you have some code that needs to be executed, you said it has to be executed. Let's hit like by example. If you want to always set your loading to false, it's maybe an easy example, but you want to set your value for loading always to false, even if you get a complete with value or you get a complete with error, you want to execute your loading to false because it's actually ended, but maybe not the way you want, but it was end. So when complete is is useful enough to execute it at the end. Even if an error was thrown, even if something's happening there, something went wrong, that when complete is going to be executed. I mean, this is going to get the work done. Personally, I don't like much the way this is used. For an easy job, for something you are going to get some value, .then and print it out or send back, one thing is okay. But this nesting .then, don't catch, don't error, I don't feel like comfortable working that way. So I actually prefer this one. It's more readable, it's the same code, you have more control over how this is going to be executing. And if you look at this, it's only one await. It's just await the future, put it in the variable val, and then you are using it and send them out. You can throw an error, you can use the try catch. And this was a question for several people. People asked it in the Flutter community. It was a way you can execute something at the end. And that's why it exists when complete, and that's why it exists the finally in the try catch. These are gonna be your friends. Get sure you use it when you have to only. So because in some cases you maybe don't need to use it, so don't actually use it just for use it. But yeah, this is the two ways you can work with this then and async await. It's after you actually. It's your decision, but I feel like one it looks better than the other and is more readable. So make your pick and be wise in it. So let's do a little code. What are we gonna be using? This is gonna be this is just the counter. Not gonna be much in here. We're gonna be using this JSON placeholder. And I think a lot of you are gonna be knowing this, but this could be like, okay, my backend, I know this is gonna be sending me a list of users. So I know this is gonna be a list of anything, a list of product, a list of this one or the other one or whatever one. So I can work with this. So if you have thinking, you have to create a whole model just for to how to use it. So it's easy enough. You just copy in here. You can go to this website and you just set the number that you want, put your JSON in there. It's going to create a whole completely new class with the to-dos, to map, to JSON, and create everything you need. So this is just it's not part of the feature. It's just because we need to have a model where to put our information and work with it. So let's get back to the code. Let's do some change here. First of all, I'm going to be using this body, and I'm not going to be using this floating action button. So let's just comment it out, these ones, and actually this also not going to be used. So let's define, we have a body, and this body, we're going to set that we want to use a feature. This feature is going to be using a list, capital list, of to-dos. So we define that we are going to be using a list of to-dos. So here we have the code that we already saw there. I just copy and pasted a little before. Just watch me do that. It doesn't make any sense. So let's first of all set something. We have an initial value, and we're gonna set the initial value is gonna be an empty, and we're gonna set the builder. The builder get the context and a list. So let's use a context. We're gonna be using the context, and let's set a snapshot because it's not a rule. It's use like this. So let's set something like return text. Let's see, snapshot dot length. So we can do two things in here. First of all, we're gonna set the future. We have to set a place where the future is gonna be called. So by the beginning, let's do this. I'm gonna move this. We're gonna put an in pin here. I'm gonna set the data in there, and we're gonna set here in there. That's why, because we don't want to at this moment use this data. Just gonna test a theory in here. So we can set using the future builders, and you can say the value, and the value in here is going to be the number that we set. So we just gonna do refresh in here. We see this 42 in there. Let's put it in the middle, just more understandable. It's in the center. The 42. So okay. So we have to set something in here. Right now, it's not going to be a big deal to change it like this because it's actually not going in. It's too fast. This feature doesn't have anything. But what is going to be happening if we do this? So we're going to set the feature that delay. We're going to set the duration. And this duration is going to be, milliseconds, maybe 100. That's the example that we use. And we are going to be sending a 42. Okay. So right now, if we don't set anything in here and execute something, it could have an error. Let's execute it again because right now we have something in state. Let's do a hot restart, and it could happen something like this. Send a red screen because we don't have any value in there. But let's do like this. Let's do a feature. List to-dos. Let's see, get fake data. So this is going to be sent. It's a feature, so we have to set it as async, and we have to send something back. Here it's saying, okay, you are setting this as a feature, but you don't have actually sent it back anything. So let's do return. So the return is going to be a feature. Delay. What's going to happen in here? So seconds to I'm gonna to send do. So this is gonna be our value in here. I don't know what's happening there. Let's count out this one. Let's put it in here like this. And so my computer is kind of with the streaming and stuff is getting with delay, but it should be looking good to you. Let's create the list of to do, and there's going to be a list to do. Let's create an automatic generate list. We can. Oh, I don't. What's happening here? Let's find out something. Let's remove this one. What's happening here? Let's send them an error. Give me a second because something happens in my IDE is not from the code. So let's do this. It keeps saying there's something happening here. Okay, it's making fun of me. So let's do some changes in here. So we're going to move to the complete code because I don't want you to see some error from my IDE. And just move to there and get the complete code. So let's execute this code and look what's happening here. Hopefully it's going to stop sending this error. Okay. So what's happening here? First of all, let's move to this section and let's look at this. This one. So we have a list in here. In this list, we have a feature set in there, and it's gonna be creating a list that generates 20 items. We're going to create just the 20 items from the to-do class. This is this same class, and send it back after 2 seconds. Right now, if we look at this, in here we don't have something happening if the value is empty. That's why you send an error. So let's say if Snapchat that equals to, this is going to be it's equal to null. You're going to send return a circular progress indicator like this. So let's execute it again and let's see what's happening there. This ID is a mess right now. It's sending some errors and actually what's happening. We can see the little circular progress indicator. Let's see if this is happening like this. Okay, it's not going to work like this. But yeah, we have right now a future list of to do. We set our future with this a lot of different numbers in colors in there. We say that our future is a list of to do. This section is pretty important. You always have to set what kind of list or value or whatever you want to use. Which one is the good one? If you're gonna send white item or you're gonna be sending a list of them, because that way you only set this snapshot, and the snapshot can get the actual information like that title in here. So let's right now we are using just this fake data, getting from creating a list and sending a delay in there. But what is going to be happening if we actually get we need to change to the actual list, the one we get to the API. So if we want to set that, we're going to move and create this one. This one is gonna be, we're gonna set our feature code. This is an actual API code. We have an HTTP.get and the URL that we visited before, like this one. If you get after that, you can, if you can have an error, you can print it in there. You should return something. If something happened in there, there is an error, you have to send some value. I'm just sending an empty list. And at the end, I just finalize it to you can see that it's actually executing at the end this little line in there. So let's I put this code in there. We have the API call. If we just execute this, it should be changed. It should go there, make the actual call, and get us the same value. Here we have finalize, stop something, and we can see number one in this little, I think it's a lot of bit zoom in there. And you can change this, and it was easy to do. If you look at the code, we just create a fake data and send a future, so we are working with the same signature of the method, future list of to do, and then we just change it and use our actual method that we want, that is going to be get that to do API call. So this is going to be easier to change after. Well, first of all, we are using everything in one file. This should be created in their own files using good contract in there, using abstract classes and everything. This is good to have to be used. But right now, just for this example, it's going to be in the same file. You can get the to do call, and right now we are showing the actual information. But at the beginning, we just were showing something created, but we can keep working in our UI even if we don't have anything in the back. They don't have an endpoint. Maybe this was the endpoint for favorites. So this is the same structure for another ones. They're going to be sending a list of the same product or the same object that we are using. So we just make this arrangement and keep working and polish this UI in perfect, and so we can keep working without having any delay in our time for the spring meeting or something like that. So I'm sorry about this. I don't know what is happening. You see this have an error of the I and something here. I don't know what is happening with the code right now. Is the IntelliJ. But yeah, this is gonna be my that presentation. If you have any questions, I can answer today right now. This is gonna be my email. I have my GitHub, my Twitter. I always do something. I send some tweets in Spanish and in English, mostly in English actually. And I have this channel in YouTube. The dark side is with the GD for Flutter, Diego Velasquez. We're gonna start working in this month in English content. So maybe you want to look at it in the future. So I don't know if you have any questions or something there, Roland.
I don't think we have anything in the chat. I'm curious about how often you're using futures versus streams, and if you see any big advantage using one over the other.
I think the important part that when I use the streams instead of future, it depends when you define. I mean, if you are like in a chat, maybe it is important to always be in listen, or you are in some section of your work that is going to be changing continuously. It's important to set this stream, because remember the stream is going to be always listen, and the future is not. So if you're going to get information like for your profile, I don't know you, but in my case, I just like set this like the profile from any of my social media. I almost never go there, so I don't think it's going to be necessary to go there and set an stream to be listened, something that I almost never in there. So the good thing here is like if you're using Firebase, you can use both. you can start your futures when you can use future, and you can set your streams for Firebase, real-time database, and I think they are pretty good working together. So you can set these little differences in where to use a feature is something that's going to be changed different times. But if you like need to be listening when the user add a value to set like a favorite or a product in your card, you can be in listening streaming there. It's not a big deal if it's inside to you. But if you are going to make an API call each time, I don't think it's gonna be a good idea to be setting your API calls to always be listened. So it's more like when be smart to know when to use one and when to use the other one. But you can use both without any trouble and in between them without any issue.
Thanks. Michael, you want to ask your question?
I think it calls something about timeouts in there.
Yeah, basically, if you're connecting to a service or API, something that isn't sending you a timeout, is there a best practice pattern or a recommended way for handling a timeout on your future on your side in your Dart code?
I remember, I think there's a plugin called Deal. And in this one, you can set a timeout. You can say when you want to stop waiting for an answer. So that could be, it's not almost like defining a pattern in there. It's just like, use this so you can set a timeout after, 45 seconds. That is in programming is a whole life, 45 seconds. But if you set 45 seconds in there, you can set it and say, if I have already this time, just stop it. Actually, a few days ago, I was doing a live coding, and this same website, the JSON Placeholder, starts failing. And I was waiting for an answer, and it was like a minute and a half waiting for them to send them something. So this could be something important to manage if you have some differences in your like. Your service could fail. You can set, or you can define something, because for years now, is some endpoint or some information takes more than 30 seconds. Even if it's a SQL relationship relational database, more than 30 seconds is not good enough. I have never done a SQL call that it takes more than 30 seconds. So the answer should be, they exist some plugins that help you with this. As Deal is the one that I remember, that you can actually set a timeout, and it's going to stop the call and give you an answer. Maybe something that I can say that I start looking around is some functional programming. It is a plugin that is called Darts, and it has a type that is called either. So this is going to be, it's good to use, because you can send either a failure or the object in the same method. So it's I actually recommend you want to go there, because I feel like it's pretty helpful for this kind of setups that we want to use in our methods. I see something about Eric Start. When to use Eric Start and when to use streams. I don't know if, because I was talking and reading at the same time. When to change from streams to Error Start, I think it's going to be the kind of work that you want to do something. Sorry. If you want to mix different streams, if you want to create the bounce method, so when the user is typing and they take when he stop or she stop typing for 500 milliseconds, I want to send a call for my search. So you can use the bounce method that is in Error Start and fire this method. So you this is inside the RxDart package, so you have just use it in there, don't have to create your own. Or if you want to mix some, like so I have my user and I have my password. So after both fields pass okay the validators, I gonna say that is okay, activate this button, he actually can tap on it. See? So it's gonna be dependent if you want to be using. It's just going to take it and send some values, streams, and powerful enough to do it. But you want to mix different streams, like 2 or 3 streams for something that I don't know why you will need to use this. But if you want to mix different streams or send one information to another information to work in this magic box, the streams, and send back a specific value, reformatting or something like that, RxDart is going to be a good use for this case. But if not, just for sending information, you can use streams and sync and a serve controller. It's going to be really good enough for you.
Argel? Bye.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just sitting here, I was thinking about timeouts and stuff, and I just looked up the future class on Dart.io. There is a timeout method on the future.
Is it that?
Yeah, but it says setting a duration on it.
Yeah, it's said, but you know, I have been talking about this with other people, and I know why they when they use want to set a timeout, they use deal. They have like this little layer in there. I don't know why. Actually, I used to work with some good coding in there, and no one time I have used a timeout. I know that it exists, but I haven't used it in my code. But people that they use this timeout, they always using deal. I actually don't want to try to say for some reason. I actually don't know the reason. But yeah, it exists because part of the HTTP code says the duration, but for some reason people don't use it in there. I will have to go in deep and give you back this answer.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you.
You're welcome. So I don't know if you have any other question. I was here to answer whatever you need. It's the what's the name? DAO. DAO. And actually, they're
like that? DAO? I thought it was DIO.
No, it's DIO. Sorry.
There we go.
DIO. Yeah, it was my English. This is not my first language, so I have this confusion sometimes.
You're doing great. You're doing great.
Thank you. So yes, and actually you can use another ones I here to see in this. It is called Shopper. There is another layer, over deal, over HTTP. They help you to create some endpoints also. So this is, it could be growing and growing and growing. I think this Shopper in Android, they use something called Retrofit. It's like the same thing. It exists a plugin in Flutter that's called Retrofit also, but you have choices. You can choose whatever you want, and it's going to be good enough. But I actually, most of the time, I use only HTTP. I don't like other plugins because they can fail. They can have a core change in the Dart language, and well, HTTP is maintained by them, so it's not going to be failing like this. So I prefer to use my code, but you can choose DIO, or you can choose whatever plugin that helps you to accomplish your work.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right.
Okay. So I just want to thank you again for the invitation, and hopefully someday I'm going to be in Denver saying hello to all of you. So
Thank you. That'd be
Thank you.
great. We'd love to
We'd
see
love
you.
to have you join us.